The Primed program brings in Jaguar Land Rover, UKBIC and Oxford University. What does that level of involvement say about Ilika's credibility?
Well, I think as an organisation we have a lot of credibility with high-profile players in the industry, not only the OEMs like Jaguar Land Rover, who are interested enough to steer that program and give us advice on our technology roadmap, but also, leading academics who are highly respected in the field, like Professor Paul Shearing at Oxford University, who's part of this, and also working together with the UK Battery Industrialisation Centre is really supporting our scale-up and a demonstration of the scalability of our technology. So you may remember an earlier program that we called History, where we were working together with UKBIC and able to demonstrate that we could coat on an electrode, we could coat our solid-state electrolyte very effectively. So they've supported us through that journey, and now, of course, in Primed, they're working together with us in order to produce larger quantities of electrode and coated electrode for our battery manufacturing.
How does Primed bridge the gap between pilot scale success and true gigafactory scale manufacturing?
Well, the deliverables of Primed are quite exciting. First of all, they allow us to develop our A-sample, and an A-sample is really just the automotive's nomenclature for a minimum viable product. And once you get to A-sample, you prove that you can make a product to a given specification. The industry also has B-samples and C-samples. B-sample is where you take that same product, but you make it on industrially ready equipment, so typically much larger equipment. And then C-samples are where you start to go into production. You have a limited production run of that same product, perhaps on the same equipment that you made your B-samples on. So going through to A-sample gets us off to the races, really. The other thing that we can do in that program is that we are doing some modeling of the production process so that we've got a compelling economic model for manufacturing at scale. And then thirdly, actually, we're doing a bit of a business case review together with HSSMI, which is one of the partners in that program.
Over the next 12 to 24 months, what should investors watch as the key proof points that Ilika is moving from development to commercial reality?
Yeah, so specifically for Goliath, first of all, I think there's some very exciting proof points. We will get some feedback from customers relating to the performance of the 10 amp hour prototypes that we released at the end of 2025. Almost in the same way, actually, that we got some feedback from customers who tested the 2 amp hour cells that we released in 2024. So that's all, something to look out for. Secondly, some feedback on the application of our technology for a minimum viable product. So, when do you say, actually, we've now defined that minimum viable product and, we want to go ahead and scale that up. And then, thirdly, perhaps for Goliath, some licensing discussions similar to what we've achieved for Stereax.
Stepping back, what does success look like for Ilika at the end of the decade, and where do you see the biggest value being created?
I think by the end of the decade, what we would like to see, what we anticipate, what we're planning for, is that we've got 2 product lines in production. That we've got Stereax that is ramped up and is in a number of products that are, if not already at approval, then going through that FDA approval process. And that's, the volumes of revenue associated with that are self-sustaining as an organization. And then on the Goliath side, that we've already been through that tech transfer process, that we've licensed it, and we're in manufacturing, and actually maybe you and I can buy an EV that's got an Ilika solid-state battery in.